So, hello everyone. Time is 6 o'clock Central European time, and it's time to, at least very soon, kick off this webinar. I guess we're going to leave it to like a couple of 2-3 minutes just to let everyone get a chance to get in here. But before we start, for the people that are here, we just want to do a test to really make sure that you can hear all of us. So if somebody, there is a chat, if somebody else could help us to verify that you can hear all of us, and I will let Martin and Eileen just say something.
Yeah, hello. Hello, everyone.
Hello. Nice to have you here.
Perfect. It seems like you can hear us. That's great. Thank you so much for that. So once again, welcome. We will start very soon. I will just wait 1-2 more minutes before we kick off this webinar. I will share my screen by doing so. Oh, sorry. So let us do like this. So now we are up in 22 people. I will give it 1 more minute and then we kick off. So I guess while we're waiting, I will just start with some housekeeping rules. I mean, the plan for this webinar is to have 45 minutes of fun and learning, and perhaps hopefully some interaction also in the end. There is a chat function to the right in this application where you can use for any questions. We will try to either catch those questions on the fly or we'll pick them up in the end. I should also say that this webinar is recorded and it will be sent out to all of you shortly after the webinar is done. We will also leave, of these 45 minutes, we will try to leave 10 minutes in the end for a Q&A session. So both answering chats, but also if there are any open questions that you want to raise. So with that, let us start this webinar. I will once again share my screen. So, welcome to this webinar about complete data understanding and control for better decisions. That is cooperation between EMARK, Inphinity, and NodeGraph. We will start with some presentations, and then we'll go into some presentation of the people here today, the hosts. Then we'll get a short introduction to Infinity and NodeGraph, and then EMARK will help out with some fantastic deep diving in some use cases where Infinity and NodeGraph plays together. So, as a start, Martin, happy to have you here. Could you please tell the audience here a little bit about yourself and give them a quick introduction?
Yeah, thank you, Oscar. Thank you very much. And yeah, I'm happy to be here as well, and really excited about this webinar that we're just starting. At Infinity and EMARK, both like we totally love NodeGraph, and I love NodeGraph so much that I have feelings for Sweden. So I took my Swedish T-shirt to support you, Oscar.
Thank you, Martin.
So looking forward to So a couple of words about myself. I'm a founder of EMARK and Infinity. So in business for 20 years, 10 years with Qlik, and I just really love working with innovative people and with innovative technologies. And just like we've known Oscar each other for years, right? So I'm really happy that we can do an event together now. And I will maybe introduce Angie as well. So Angie has been our customer for 10 years, and she was a CFO and a board member at a large financial institution. And after these 10 years, she decided to join us, which I'm really honored to have this opportunity of cooperation. And Angie has some exciting content, so I'll hand over to Angie as well to introduce herself.
Well, I think it says something about the tools, NodeGraph and Infinity, that we can say that we're talking about data governance, and it's exciting, because there's this is not usually a topic that people get excited about. But I really like Infinity, really like NodeGraph. A lot of amazing possibilities that I simply didn't have when I was CFO. Yeah. So I really am happy to share what we've seen also with other customers, and what I also seen from my experience.
Thank you, Angie.
Yeah.
So perhaps quickly about me, Oscar Falvik. I've been in this industry for about 20 years. Seen a lot of movements in the BI industry. Worked with Martin in different ways for many years. I've been on Qlik. I've been on the Qlik partner. And I think it's just exciting to be here today to show how two of Qlik's primary technology partners can work together and really get that extra value out of the power that you have already in Qlik. So really happy to be here today with Anjali and Martin. As a next step, you're going to get a quick introduction to around the company and solutions, and I'm going to start with handing over to Martin once again to talk a bit briefly about Infinity. And I mean, you will of course get a little bit deeper insights into use cases later on. So, but Martin, please.
Yeah, thank you, Oscar. So, can you please come to the next slide? Yeah. So I'll introduce a bit. So Infinity is a Qlik's technology partner and trusted extension developer, and Infinity is a spin-off from EMARK. And I also have to introduce EMARK a bit because EMARK is Qlik's master reseller, really having a cooperation with Qlik for more than 10 years, I would say, being in the Qlik ecosystem. And in both companies, we really love working with partners, working closely with various partners, with solution providers, with technology partners. So we're really very much partner focused, and all the mindset, everything we develop with partners in mind. And also we're always trying to push the boundaries of data analytics and basically the world of data with really unique products, unique solutions. So whatever we create, we always try to find the sweet spot which is missing, and we develop something for it. So the innovative mindset is here, and this is something you can really rely on when you meet Infinity and EMARK. It will be very, very innovative always. Yeah. So next slide, please. With regards to, and now coming for more to Infinity, and then Angie will also mention more about EMARK in her part. So Infinity is working with customers basically all over the world. So we have customers from every industry, from financial industry, from manufacturing, retail, distribution, public, healthcare, all areas of business, I would say, really across all continents. I'm excited to see also some of our customers here at the call. So yeah, so welcome everyone, and really thank you for joining. As I mentioned, I really love working with enthusiasts, with innovators, and Infinity, we really love to listen to these people, whatever they have to say. And we develop our products based on this on the feedback and based on this information that we're getting from these innovators. So that's also something you can really be sure about and rely on, that when we have a cooperation, it will be always a dialogue, we always listen and build our strategy and development around your feedback. Next slide, please. What do we actually do at Inphinity, right? So to explain a bit, like, yes, Qlik's technology partner and trusted extension developer, but what do we do? So we transform mission-critical processes, or we help you transform your mission-critical processes with data. And how do we do it? It's exactly this is supported by certain areas in which we can deliver certain capabilities with products that add more functionalities to your data environment and are basically hosted in Qlik within the Qlik environment. So once you have a set of applications and you have environment in Qlik, you can use our products which are embedded and supported. So how do we do it? How do we help you transform mission critical processes? I would say every company is a set of processes and data. So we start with visualizing these processes, helping you define various measures, various KPIs, maybe identify some bottlenecks, helping you optimize and also automate processes. And that's where this actionability comes in. Actionability, which basically adds the new space for whatever your data is. So you have your data analytics environment, you have your dashboards, your charts, your graphs, and so on. But you need to act, right? You need to make some next step. You need to set a task. You need to approve something. Maybe send some notification. So do something practical with the findings that you have. Or modify some, maybe categorize the data. So add some more human interaction, and that's where this actionability comes in, which is basically everything from write-back to really end user workflow, automation, documents approvals, business applications developed right in Qlik in a really custom way. And you can develop various applications, surveys, mobile use cases, and of course planning and scenario modeling, so all these use cases. And of course, the big area of the future, unstructured data. So this all complements the whole question of adding value from data and getting value from data. So we help you get value also from your unstructured data by giving you the power to read content of your files and metadata of your files, which is super useful for various use cases around having legal documents that can be analyzed and searched in Qlik, or CVs, or various documents. Next slide, please. In terms of the product suite, how do we deliver these capabilities? It's a suite of these three products, and I don't want to get too technical because this is more about use cases. So it's the product which is called Flow, which is the process intelligence tool. It's a product called Forms, which is I would say data input, workflow automation tool, write-back capabilities, document management, and we have Mole, which is the unstructured data file analysis. Next slide, please. And yeah, just a brief introduction. Over to you, Oskar.
Thank you, Martin, and thanks for those great insights around Inphinity. So a little bit briefly around NodeGraph. NodeGraph, we are the single point of entry for all your data analytics needs, meaning that in NodeGraph, you will collect all your metadata from your whole data analytics solutions. Should it be Tableau, Power BI, Qlik, QlikView, QlikSense Cloud, all metadata is there. So in NodeGraph, you can go in, you discover, you're perhaps a business user looking for a specific KPI. Do we have this KPI? Where do we have that KPI? Which application can I find it? When I find in which application, I can also go learn more about that application. I can then go from NodeGraph and instantly open the application inside the BI tool. But I can also be the person responsible for QVDs. I could be the person responsible for specific type of data and so on. And then I can use NodeGraph as the single point of entry to go in and discover, I learn more about the data and understand how it is tied together, where it comes from, where it's used, and by that I trust the data, and build on that, and based on that we build this trust. I can start to really act on that data. So NodeGraph is governance, catalog, lineage, and data quality, all under the same roof in the same solution. It's end-to-end lineage. We are a strong believer of that if you're going to have lineage, it needs to be all the way from the source out to the hands of the users. Meaning I should be able to, if I do this change in the source system, what kind of impact will it have? Not only in which BI tool, but in which application, and not only which application, but in which part of the application, what content, is it on a specific KPI, graph, workbook, so on. And it's first when we have that full end-to-end view, down on field level, on your data analytics landscape, that you really can start to say that you are in control and you have full understanding. You can build this trust and drive adoption and collaboration within your organization. And automation is key. This needs to be automated, because if it's not automated, it will fail sooner or later. So in NodeGraph, everything is built on full automation. So where we touch on this, the NodeGraph solution. We have end-to-end lineage, all the way from source to the visualization. We have the business glossary. I mean, all the definitions, documents, your business and so on. You can go from a business definition down into the actual metadata itself. You have the cataloging. You can have specific app. And all metadata in NodeGraph could be a bundle in separate catalogs. You can have your KPI glossary. You can have your app glossary. I can have my Snowflake glossary. I can have my QVD glossary, and so on. And I instantly can go in, search, find, understand, and act on it. I have my data quality. We can come into that more later, but and all other components of NodeGraph, we talked about metadata. Data quality is about the data itself and about to actually test the data. You have the governance dashboard. That's really about start to monitor and work long term with this. Really have some indicators on that the things we're doing is moving in the right way. So for example, two KPIs that we have in the governance dashboard is the KPI consistency. I mean, if is the KPI a KPI, and is it defined in the same way throughout our whole BI landscape? And we also have a data literacy index. We can start measuring and follow up how well your data literacy work is really working. And then we have the analytics catalog that we talked about, that you actually can go in and find an app report, dashboard workbook. When you found it, you can learn more things about it, and then you can actually open it and go directly into your BI tool. So NodeGraph, the single point of entry for all your data analytics needs. Just quickly, some customers. We have customers all over the world, all kind of different verticals. Typically use cases, it could be impact analysis, it could be migration. I want to go from one BI tool to another. I want to change the source system. What kind of impact will that have? You have, of course, the collaboration, the cataloging part, and so on. A lot of great use cases that these customers are using to get the full power out of NodeGraph. So now we're going to go into even more in listening to EMARK about the full power of combining NodeGraph and Infinity, and doing it with the great partners EMARK that brings both these products to the market and help the customer get the full value out of the combination of both products. So Angie, please feel welcome to get into your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Just to really shortly introduce EMARK, just 2 sentences. We're an end-to-end data advisor. We're Qlik master reseller for Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Hungary. We also have presence in APAC and do also international work as well. And just how it happened that EMARK is in this webinar with NodeGraph and Infinity is that we really noticed that NodeGraph, I mean, you see the technical people, data people, they really get it immediately. Wow, how useful this could be, but often at the business side, people weren't really seeing the business value. Exactly how this could be used and Infinity also, you need to have quite a creative mind sometimes to understand what value you can get from it. So we're putting some use cases together where we'll talk about the use cases, the functionalities that are there, should serve as some kind of inspiration. And then we'll also show some screenshots. We wanted to like save time, not open the applications, but we'll show some screenshots so Martin and Oscar can really make it a little bit more close to home, so to speak. So we can go to the first use case. Data quality, reporting and corrections. I think data quality is on everybody's mind. Actually, I think it's one of the most talked about things regarding data. There's almost always an issue and no one actually wants to take care of it because it's usually a lot of manual work, a lot of manual searching, trying to understand who's responsible, all of this. And I really see the connection of NodeGraph with Qlik Sense and Infinity to really significantly simplify that agenda. The possibilities are quite big. This is just one idea. Okay, you get the source. So looking at this, the flow, the source, you take it in NodeGraph, you do some data quality checks already there. You can get some automatic notification of issues with the data. And then, of course, we don't have endless resources, so we should be checking the most critical data. So you can pick and tag the data that's most critical and pass the information about that data to Qlik Infinity. And then you can assign ownership for the data. So we know exactly who's responsible. You can even add it to a process, like what process. So we'll discuss that in the next step, and do further data quality checks. Another possibility to have the automatic notification of issues, and then of course, very important to having the agenda under control. You can do the reporting and visualizations. And here, this is a superpower of Infinity Forms, is that you can correct the data here and you can actually decide what's going to happen with those corrections. Either it can go directly into the system, if that's your interest, if that's how the security allows, or you can simply produce a list of corrections for booking and importing, and you can solve it that way. Yeah. So if you can go to the next slide, maybe I can show what I'm talking about. It's kind of small, but I'll just describe. This is a use case without NodeGraph, but I'll just mention how NodeGraph can make this even better. So we have basically here the critical data elements, where you have a data dictionary and you have business descriptions here filled manually directly in Qlik with forms, and then you have the information that you need in order to be able to do the data quality checks. And you can, again, use forms to define what data quality checks you want to do, and then you have the monitoring. So it's kind of a low-code way of flexibly doing the data quality checks. And if you add NodeGraph here, you can actually import a lot of that information that you are that we're otherwise filling here. Yeah. So this is one example of Infinity Forms, and we'll go to the next slide. And I'd like Oscar to just point out this example from NodeGraph.
Yeah, and I always want to highlight on this. I mean, if you talk about data quality, there's two aspects of data quality in NodeGraph. I mean, one aspect that I think touches best this use case is the quality that actually being able to understand if the data is coming from the right sources and if the right data is used in the applications and so on. So what you can do in NodeGraph is that you can work a lot with tagging, for instance, to tag up the information that you want to group, and you want to highlight that this is specifically important. You want to follow it up. You also have our data steward function, where you can go in and tell the users which data is approved out of a corpus perspective. So if, for instance, if you have a self-service strategy, there can be a lot of data, but then you can go in, you can enrich the data, and the data steward can then say that, hey, these QEDs, these tables, these fields, and so on, this is data that is approved. We know that they're coming from the right source and so on. And you can also see from inside the application you can follow all the way back if the data is correctly used. The one very common thing that we've seen when we first install NodeGraph is a lot of customers, they find out that there is data out there that shouldn't be there. People has added Excel files. They're reading data from the wrong sources. They've done things on their own, and then we can for sure say that the quality of the output is not what it should be. So another example here is just to highlight that a functionality that we have in NodeGraph that could help out with this is our heat map, where you very quickly can pick an application. You do the heat mapping of, and what we show is the different colors tells how long time has it been since this data was updated. So then you can very quickly see if there is some data here that this application is reading from that hasn't been updated for a very long time, for instance. But you will also in this view see if they're reading from non-approved sources, or sources that you perhaps even didn't know was there. Sorry. So Angie, back to you.
Yeah, of course. It's actually all about what am I going to get from this? What are the benefits? Because there has to be the return, always the investment. And I think data quality is very clear. The better the data quality, the better the business results you're going to have, because you'll steer better. And of course, the solution we presented makes the corrections of the data quality significantly easier and faster, because you're looking at it in a context, often in a business context. That saves time. You have the clear ownership. It's linked to the ownership that you put directly in the system where the data is, not in some separate Excel or something. And this automatic reporting is obviously increases the link to the ownership, increases the ability to supervise and ability to actually drive the agenda. So that's the first data quality use case.
Mm-hmm. One idea here to this one, because this automatic reporting really this is really exactly what's important in terms of data quality, I would say, right? So and maybe one example to support this, coming from NHS, from Morecambe Bay, from Rob O'Neill, our customer, who also focused on Qlik and Infinity, and I think NodeGraph would add a huge value there as well. So exactly as you're showing. So what they did, they identified errors in data based on algorithms that they built in Qlik, building the database, and then Qlik was sending alerts, notifications to people to come back to Qlik and check if the data, if it's really an error, if it's something that should be fixed, and if yes, then they could tag it, and that was like the use of Infinity. So how they were adding, the changes on changes in data, and just fixing the errors in data, and then seeing the impact on the final figures, final results. So this was something like a perpetuum mobile, thanks to very good automated reporting of data quality, I would say. Right? So is this something in line with what you mean around automation?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, any way you can get official, or you can get reporting in, alerting that, because often you'll put together manually. If all these pieces aren't connected, you have the information about data quality. You have the information, about which field is the right one, the key one. But if it's not all connected, like we were showing in this business case, then you're going to have, at the end, you're not going to be able to supervise it. You're not going to be able to control it. You have a lot of manual work. So that's exactly what I meant. Yeah. Yeah. So if we can go to the next use case. This is about the management of critical processes. Just to be clear, I think we should probably all know, but critical process are really business critical processes that if it's not properly controlled, then you can have significant issues with the process. I'll take an example. Just to go through this, an example of regulatory reporting, where you have to simply do the reporting. You have a process that also probably needs to be monitored from regulatory point of view. And the data has to be correct, but often it isn't, and you don't have time to make that correction. Yeah, so you have, you can take Infinity, and here on this side On the right, we have really the typical, process management. You map the process, you assign ownership responsibilities for the different steps, you identify critical data from the process. You can even link it. You can link that to the process step. You identify KPIs and monitoring. So basically, if you're doing the reporting, you can exactly see the flow. You can set responsibilities. Adding NodeGraph in there, you just have an absolutely new level of control that the data that you're using, like what the quality is, what the correction is, who the ownership, where did it come from, what's the lineage. And so basically you're importing this tagged, the critical data. You can see the lineage. You can link whatever data quality issues you're seeing to where exactly it is, and where this came from. You can do it. There's additional data quality checks that Oscar spoke about. And then you can also know who's using the data. So you can maybe even see where some issues are coming about based on the usage. You put this together and you really have a superpower way of controlling the process. Like if I do the the reporting, the regulatory reporting I was talking about, I can really be sure of any manual steps that I made, corrections that I made. I know exactly, I can be really confident there's that audit trace of that. And also I can take the steps, I have the knowledge to fix it in the future.
Yeah. As you into Angie, what you can do in NodeGraph is that you can, all the metadata that is linked to this process, you can tag that so that you can easily monitor and follow up. Yeah. Where does this data comes from and where is it used? And is it used in the correct application in the right way? Are the metrics correct and so on? And NodeGraph will always show you the reality. NodeGraph will also always show how it really looks like. You can have one idea or picture of how it should look like, but NodeGraph will always give you the full truth of how it actually looks. It's a very good baseline of securing that your processes are followed in the correct way.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Exactly. Can we go to the next slides? We have again examples of the tools. Yeah. Martin will quickly say something about the flow and forms.
Yeah. What's here on this slide basically is it's a couple of Infinity objects on one dashboard, and basically what you can see here is a series of workflows and the tables where you can add data. But in practice, in business reality, what this is a workflow that's visualized based on data. So on the left hand side, you see, as Angie mentioned, these critical processes, critical workflows that can be defined and visualized. So you can see the activities there, and you can see the measures, the KPIs that you can set on the flow. You can also see these approval stages, which can be role based, right? So here you can pick various roles, and based on these various roles, you can go through the approval workflow, maybe add some documents, add some more data related to these documents or to these stages. You see a full change log on the right hand side. So you see a tool set basically, which is supporting your workflow management, process management, and it can be basically applies to any complex or less complex workflows. But Angie, as a CFO, as a former CFO, like data quality and really KPIs and workflows must have been a huge topic for you, right? In the financial institution. So
you're asking this question because you know, Martin, the answer.
I do.
It was the reason I'm so passionate. Martin knows I'm so passionate about NodeGraph and Infinity Flow because they were telling me EMARK was telling me throughout my entire term as CFO that I should have the processes better monitored, and I should have the data governance better monitored. And this is something that's not so popular. So it was not definitely what I would be lying if I said I'm the poster child of this, yeah. But I really recognize in these tools, if I had this, like the flow existed, and if we had the NodeGraph at the time, really it would have been so much easier, and also in terms of time and money as well, yeah, because it's extremely important. It needs to be solved, and these tools really make it easier. I didn't have them, but I know it would have been much better, you know. So I think we can go to the next slide with Oscar.
I don't know if I need to add so much more to that, Annie and Martin. But I mean, just quickly, this is just the lineage to show the lineage. I mean, it just shows that you can see on the field level, end to end. You, as I said, you will have the full truth. You will always see exactly how the data is consumed, where it comes from, and so on. You will get this full control, and you will be comfortable. You can always lean back on this. I can also just add that, I mean, there is a dimension more on this, and that is the actual data quality in itself. I mean, the possibility to combine this with the data quality manager, we can actually test the data and verify that the data itself is actually correct.
Yeah.
So let us go to the next.
Yeah, and just shortly, obviously, if you have your key process and the critical process, you have improved bottom line results. Yeah, so because with these tools, you can comment and collaborate more easily. You have the clear ownership assigned. It's both Infinity and NodeGraph allow that. You have a holistic view, really also adding the data, the process, everything. And of course, again, the visualization is really what makes the difference. Yeah. Okay, so we'll go to the last use case, which someone coming from a financial institution, for me is like the holy grail use case of NodeGraph plus Infinity. It's sensitive data. So basically, obviously, having NodeGraph to so easily get that information. You tag your sensitive data. You can see exactly who uses it and where they use it. You can have the monitoring, it's the control, the quality control of this sensitive data, linking that to the structured data we have here. And then you have Mole, which allows you to add this unstructured data. So you can really take it and look for the sensitive data. You can define like what it is, look for the sensitive data, and combine that in Qlik, the information from NodeGraph and Mole, and so you know which data you have. You have the fields, the information, so you know exactly what data you have to assign the rights and access and roles for. So you can define that using forms. And then you can also take this information that you're getting from NodeGraph for the lineage, for example, and you can visualize that as well again in Qlik, adding the information about that you get from Mole, and of course you can also set up the automatic alerts if what's actually happening doesn't match the access rights. And obviously you can do this KPI and dashboarding, and especially there's who has GDPR, but we all have whatever country you're in, there's some really strict rules about sensitive data, and these tools for me are just like really just allows like a different level of control of that data. Yeah, so I think we can just go to the last examples that we have about the tools. So Martin will say something about Mole.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to share more. So this is an example of a report basically generated by Mole. And in this case, it was Mole unstructured data connector, which was used to read the list of files, read the content of all these files that you can see here and many more, and also read the metadata of these files. And then we had a semantic layer where we defined certain algorithms which basically allowed us to analyze what you can see here. And it seems to be a boring table, but actually it's not, because you can see sensitive data, and you can see in which files you have which types of sensitive data, and some more details around it. And there is also an algorithm which is telling you the priority, right? So where you should maybe take a closer look, because once you connect this to a server and you have really terabytes of various data, so you need to be able to decide what's the highest priority with respect to the filters, or with respect to the criteria that you are basically analyzing. So that's saving really days of time of people that would otherwise have to go and search and find if there is some sensitive information in some file, and they would not find anything. So like, imagine examples like having I don't know, scanned documents in some shared folder in a copier or printer somewhere on the floor, which someone just forgot because they were just scanning it there and they just didn't delete it, right? So really examples that you wouldn't think about normally, but this system will go and find, right? So this is the functionality of Mole here.
Right. I think we covered quite a lot here. What I just can add is, I mean, working with sensitive data and metadata often becomes quite tricky. I would promote a little bit our business glossary function in NodeGraph, where we can use to put this business layer on top of things to make it even easier for everyone in the organization to consume this and understand and categorize the different kind of sensitive data in a context that makes it even easier for the organization to understand and link the sensitive data as such. I mean, and then on top of that, you have all the lineage and so on that we're going through so far. But I think we're going to go into the last business ROI description of this, and
Yeah.
we're running out of time here.
Yeah, I mean, this for itself. Solve the sensitive data. You have lower risk, lower penalties, process. I don't need to say anything about that. I really think the sensitive data, I mean, everyone is really clear what happens if you don't have it under control. We watch the news and we see. So I don't need to comment on that. And I think we can go. There's a question.
Yeah, there been one question so far, and that was from Ilya Tinko, that talked about the integration between NodeGraph and Infinity, and more specifically, I mean, we as of today we have two great products, and we have an idea how the products could deliver value in combination for the customers. Ilya's specific question was if you could get the lineage for flow objects and forms inside NodeGraph. And perhaps a bit to take for me, the only thing I can say is that NodeGraph would in general, NodeGraph would show a lineage for all extension objects that you use inside your Qlik Sense environment. So that I think that's a good point. I mean, you will, based on that it is an extension object, you will see where throughout your Qlik environment are these extension objects used, in which applications and so on. And that picture, and that control of that picture will get out of NodeGraph.
Yes, exactly. And a huge benefit here is that both technologies are integrated in Qlik, which is basically the integration platform in this sense as well, right? Mm-hmm. So if you use Infinity to enter data somewhere, which is typically some data store like a database or some file or QVD, or it can be cloud data source as well, right? So these data sources can be read by NodeGraph, and the lineage can be visualized. Also, these flow objects are typically either generated from data, or they create some data, right? So you can model flows using forms and defining data in a database, right? So again, the data is stored somewhere, and NodeGraph reads this. So we have a nice, and that's what's really interesting, because that's what makes these two products really strongly compatible, right? Because I'll say NodeGraph is what comes before BI, before Qlik, right? And Infinity is what comes after BI, after analytics. So when we have the data in and we want to take it to the next level and and take it to the next, give this actionability there, then it's what happens after that, right?
Right, perfect. Thank you, Martin. There is no other questions, and I think for the sake of the time, we are reached 6:45 now. If you don't have anything else, Martin and Angie, I think we should just wrap this up. Thank everyone who has attended. I mean, as I said, this recording will be sent out. For any questions, feel welcome to just reach out to any of us. Here you have the links to our home pages, but I mean, feel free, email us, search us up on LinkedIn, anyway, for any questions, feel welcome. And I mean, we have a lot of time also after this to answer questions as they pop up. Martin and Annie, is there any last words that you want to say?
No, thank you. Great to do a webinar with you guys. Yeah, these innovators. I can just talk about your innovation. Yeah, so really nice. Thank you.
Yeah, and really, thank you everyone for coming. It was really great, and yeah, it's a great cooperation. Definitely see so much value we can be adding together, and really like looking at these use cases that Angie has been developing, like and bringing to our attention. Me and Oscar being, on the technology side more. it's just amazing, and the value is yet to be discovered. So thank you, and great that we could actually do this webinar together. I'm really excited.
Looking forward to all your ideas. Yeah, the people who are here. Yeah.
Don't miss the opportunity to try NodeGraph and Inphinity together. And thank you so much for joining. Have a great time.
Exactly. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you. Have a great time. Bye bye.